So the right hand for this entire song is going to go as follows. You're going to start here on a G sharp, G sharp, B, A, G sharp, E, C sharp. That's an F sharp and an A together. That's an F and a C sharp together. Then you're going to hit this E, and then while you're holding that E, you're going to come up here to this part of the keyboard over here. You're going to do a trill right there, that's B, A, B, A. Come down a little bit, go A, F sharp, A, F sharp. Then you come down a little bit more, you go F sharp, D, F sharp, D, E, C sharp, E, C sharp. Those trills should sound like. Then going back to your lower right hand, you have a similar melody for the second part of the song. G sharp, B, A, G sharp, E, C sharp. That's an F sharp and a C sharp together. F sharp and a B. And then you play E and B together. And then that's an A right there. Then you come back up here. That's a D and an F sharp together. A, D, F and C sharp together. That's a G sharp and a C sharp together. You hit an F sharp right after. Then you come down here to this lower part. You play C sharp, and then you play up through a D major 7th chord. So you play C sharp, D, F sharp, A, C sharp. Then you play B and E together. D, back to the B and E. That's A and E. Then you come back up here and you heard something similar to this earlier. That's D and F sharp, A, C sharp and F, E. You hit that A octave. You can not see my pinky right now. That's the other note that I'm playing. It's just the same note in two different places on the keyboard. And then while you're holding that or sustaining that with your sustain pedal, you're going to come down here and play E, F sharp, E, F sharp, E. And this is the end of the song. You play C sharp and E together, D and F sharp together, D and G sharp together, and then you play an A major chord in its first inversion, C sharp, E, and A. That's the right hand of this song. So if you haven't noticed already, this song is in 3/4 time. That means there's 3 beats to each measure and the quarter note gets the beat. With that in mind, you're going to have a series of 4 measure loops, and each measure is going to be a single note in the left hand. And there's two series that you have to worry about. The first one is going to be 1, 2, 3. You start on an A, F sharp, B, E. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You play that 3 times. You play that series 3 times. And then the second series is really, really similar to the first one, except instead of an F sharp, you just play an E. So you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And you play that 3 times. You play that series 3 times. And then by this point, you're at the end of the song. You play A, E, 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 A. So you go A, E, 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 A, E, 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 A. And then at the very end of the song, when you have that series of 2-note chords, right, that runs up to the A major in its first inversion, you play A, E, A. So your left hand for the whole song is going to go as follows. that's your left hand for the entire song. So putting the right and the left hand together, this is what you should get for the finished product. I'll play it slowly this time, and then I'll play it at full speed in my cover. That's the Always Sunny theme song.